These are your top 10 reasons not to build a home. Hey y'all, my name is Mike Hines, and we are a Cincinnati-based real estate firm. Our firm is called Oyler Hines here at Coldwell Banker, and we're excited to break down the top 10 reasons not to build a home. So maybe you're considering building a home. You've thought about it, you have all sorts of ideas running through your head. Maybe you have a Pinterest board, a house board with all these ideas, and you're saying, you know what, I'd like to get started. Well, we're not here to stop you. We think building is absolutely fantastic. We have actually helped dozens and dozens of clients in the past with our firm. However, there are some pitfalls and there's some reasons maybe you should consider not building that house. If you previously watched our other video, which is the top 10 reasons to build a home, we want to give you both sides of the spectrum. What's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're here today to break down the top 10 reasons why maybe you should not build a home. So let's get started. All right, first and foremost, number one, your budget. Maybe your budget is really tight and building a home is going to give you a little bit of a discomfort. So building a house is not always an exact science. You don't know exactly what you're going to spend the first day that you walk into that builder's model, or if it's a custom home, the builder's office. So if your budget is tight, you may really want to think through building a home. Now, some builders do a great job. They say, hey, here's the cost of the house, here's the features you get, but just keep in mind that you might want to add things. When you build a home, not everything's built out. I always think of blinds and other items that go in there. There's other expenses down the road. So if your budget's really tight, be careful considering a new home. Not saying you shouldn't do it, but just be careful and thoughtful on if you should take that next step. Number two, this process is overwhelming. Building a home is a series of 100 different decisions throughout a number of months, maybe years. It can take quite a while. And if you don't handle that stress or that decision making well, that really can dictate how much you enjoy this process. So be careful, because we want to let you know up front it can be overwhelming. You're not going to have all the answers day one. So if that's not your personality, maybe just second guess this. Is this the right fit for you? I mean, all these things are going to add up to whether building a house is what you should do or not do. Number three, time. How quickly do you need to be in a home? So again, with the weather, with all sorts of elements, maybe supply chain, there's all sorts of things that run into it. So time is not always on your side when building a house. So be very diligent in thinking through when you have to be in a home, what the circumstances are going to allow or not allow, how much flexibility is in there, because time is so important. If you need to buy a house and need to be in there by a deadline of a date, be careful building. It can be something that you might not be in there. And then what happens then? So always have contingencies. Next up, number four, cost overruns. It's not a matter of if these will happen, but when. And maybe it's $20 and maybe it's $100,000. You don't know. But normally with building a house, there's going to be cost overruns. There's all sorts of horror stories that you might not hear about, maybe a house being underbid or allowances being too low. That's all accomplishable to figure out if you have the right builder and you understand, or maybe the right advisor to walk you through what allowances should be, what included items can be. However, there's always cost overruns because you might choose for other items during selections. You might hit bad dirt. You might have an issue with ordering something from a different supplier because something else didn't come in. There are always cost overruns. Now there's certain margins and certain percentages of above and beyond what your contract price might be. So it doesn't have to be something scary like a 5 or 10% overrun, but there are always overruns. So just keep that in mind and make sure you're being very cautious as you're making selections and understanding what's happening next on the building process. Number five, this process is stressful. Like, there's going to be days that you absolutely love building a house. There's going to be days that you want to pull your hair out because you're just stressed and you don't know why things aren't happening the way they should be happening. I got to give builders credit because this job is unpredictable and it's really hard. Building a home is not easy. Every day there's a series of problems, and it's how well they can accomplish and overcome those problems, but also communicate with you as a buyer. So you might not know what's going on a day-to-day basis. You might be stressed out. Like, I don't know what my builder's doing. I don't know what's happening. I don't know when the house is going to be finished. I don't know what that's going to cost. It can be stressful. But you know what? The stress can be worth it because the end product should be fantastic and should be excited. But there's no doubt, I don't think we've had a client yet to this day that doesn't get stressed out about building so far. And if they aren't stressed out, they just somehow figure it out. Maybe they read a self-help book way back when, or maybe they watched some great YouTube videos to figure it all out and just have a really calm demeanor about them. But I've built a couple different times, and in both cases, I was stressed out at different parts of the process. It was not a reflection of the partners and the builders that I was working with, but I just get stressed out from time to time, as I'm sure most clients do. Number 6, You're not going to have all the answers on day one. That's just the reality of it. When you build a house, there's segments in the process. You figure out a few answers to the first few questions. Like, let's just use design. Okay, first is, can I put this part of the house in this section of the lot, or do I need to move around the master bathroom because I want to do something different? You don't have all the answers because it's a sequence of decisions as you make. First, of course, you got to pick the lot. Then you got to pick out how the house sits on the lot, and maybe the design or which floor plan to use. You're not always going to have answers on day one, mainly because you still need the time to process and think through everything. So if you're the type of person that needs everything accomplished right away and needs it all figured out day one, be cautious building, because really you're going to decide on certain things in buckets. And as you move forward, you're going to probably go back every once in a while and rethink some things that you were 100% dead set on in the past. So just keep that in mind. You're not going to have all the answers on day one, but that's okay, because you're going to figure it out, and the house is going to evolve over time, and it's going to become exactly what you want as you go through and navigate the process. Number 7, not all builders are created equal. This is probably something we've learned over the past couple of decades that we've been working with different builders. There are some fantastic builders that do an incredible job. In fact, I would actually say that most builders that we get a chance to work with every single day are great. They do a fantastic job. Of course, things go wrong occasionally in the field, and there's surprises that pop up that not even the best builder can ever just understand right from the day they start. So occasionally the builder has issues, there's problems, there's things that come out. But the key to a good builder is how well they communicate, talk to you, and really accomplish and overcome those issues when they come up. And this is where the due diligence early on to interview your builder, vet them, get references, make sure you're going into this process with a great partner is so important. Because I mean it, not every builder is created equal. You've seen stories in the paper probably, and articles on Facebook, comments on Facebook about pros and cons of certain folks. We're not here to talk about anyone in particular, but there are builders that sometimes can just get through a process a little smoother than others. So make sure you think about that early on and choose your partners wisely. Number 8, supply chain. Supply chain is really, it's a hot topic right now. As we sit here today, tariffs is being discussed. And of course, these are considerations because, sometimes you're getting your supply from, maybe it's lumber from Canada. Maybe you're getting hardwood from Canada. Maybe there's appliances from China. So there's all sorts of things to consider. And quite honestly, you can't predict what's going to happen. So maybe you expected your front door to come in by this date, but it's delayed 2 months because of manufacturing issues. This will happen, and when it has to happen, you just have to pivot, figure it out, move forward, or wait. It's just how it goes. But there will be supply chain issues, so if that's going to get you worked up, you can't handle kind of the pressure and what's happening there, it's something to consider as you're building a home, because it will happen. Most likely it will happen, but when it does happen, there's always other choices and you can always figure it out. But it might give you a little bit of that stress that we were talking about from one of the previous items. Number 9, it might be a little bit more complicated from a contract and a lending perspective. Each builder has different contracts. Each lender has different construction loans, end loans, all sorts of different options. So there might be more to navigate up front. Typically if you've bought a house before, if you haven't bought a house before, it's pretty linear as far as it is. You get pre-approved, you put an offer in, you go through underwriting. It's pretty linear on how this goes. Building can be somewhat linear, but it can take different paths, and every builder operates a little bit different. So you have to navigate and talk through that with your builder. Or if you're talking to 3 or 4 different builders early on, you might have different processes for each different builder, and they might have different ways of doing things. So there might be a series of conversations to figure out maybe different lenders you need to talk to get pre-approved or understand how they handle that process. But just know that process can be a little bit more complicated. And one really key important piece of that is the business structure can be different from one builder to the next. You might see one that's on a cost plus, one might be a fixed fee. There's different considerations as you're going on there. If you bought a house before where you just use maybe a realtor board contract or an attorney's contract, that might be very simple. They tend to be very boilerplate, very similar with different fillable items on this. It might just be a little bit different, a little bit more complicated and complex. It's all easily doable, but again, it just makes the process of building a little bit more complicated. And last but not least, number 10, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, that goes for probably anything in life, unfortunately. So what I mean by you don't know what you don't know is essentially there are gonna be items that you didn't even think to ask about. There's gonna be so many selections and you're gonna wonder why. Well, why didn't they tell me that was a possibility? A ridiculous one that I always think about is two different types of garage door openers. You have the ceiling mounted garage door openers that you typically see with a big rail that comes down, and then you have a wall mounted one that goes actually up against where the garage door actually is. It's a nonsense thing. I didn't even know those existed before 5 or 6 years ago when I built my house. And afterwards, I'm thinking, gosh, how did I not know about that? Why didn't they let me know about that? There's all sorts of things that you don't know about, options you don't know about, things to consider that you aren't aware of. And it's absolutely impossible for a builder to talk through every single one. It's just not feasible. Now, good builders will walk you through the process and talk about the right things at the right times. So they ask the right questions. So maybe some things can pop up, but you may not know what to ask. And it might be too late sometimes. And that's okay. Sometimes building a house, you find out after you've built it that you could have done something differently. That's okay, because you're building a great house for what you know at that moment. So try not to think when you're off in the distance, you're living in your house, about what you should have known beforehand, because life's all about learning and life's all about growing and figuring out new opportunities, new items that are out there. And that's really what building is all about. So the next house you build, not that you want to build again, then you can always make some changes and do something fun down there. But if you're the type of person that is always trying to figure out what's next around the corner, that's great. But you're not going to always know about everything. I've been doing this for almost 15 to 20 years, and I still don't know everything, and I still don't always know the right questions to ask. I know enough to guide myself and other folks through the process, but you don't know what you don't know when it comes about this process. And you'll learn that along the way, and you'll wonder why you couldn't prepare, but you can't prepare for everything. So with that being said, those are the top 10 reasons not to build a home. Only you know you. So that's really what it comes down to. If you're looking at all these different items and you're saying, yep, you know what, I get stressed out way too easily, this is a bad process for me. Well, you know what, buy a house. There's plenty of great homes. Might be hard to find them, but there's plenty of great homes out there for you to buy and be in the right time frame to fit what you need. But if you are considering and you say, you know what, I think I can overcome that and I can accomplish those, go on about it. It's a great process. Like I said, I've done it twice with two different builders, had a great experience on both circumstances. I absolutely love building. Of course, I'm biased because I work with so many great builders. I know basically the terrain and the network and those folks out there. But if you don't know that and you need some help and you're looking at building in Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky, or heck, if you're building somewhere else and you just want to reach out to us with some questions, please reach out. Our contact information is below. We'd be happy to help you in any possible way that we can. As usual, please click the link and subscribe below. Add comments if I missed anything, because we're trying to cover so much in these short videos, but we'd always like to learn more and add more for our updates. And then stay tuned as well, because we're gonna have other videos like should I buy or should I build? Where we're gonna bring in Scott Oyler, our partner, to talk through the benefits of buying a home as compared to building a home. So we are here to offer more valuable content, more information for you. Thanks for spending some time with us. Look forward to seeing you in our next video.